Hello everyone, this is the Undying Nephilim, and today I'm going to show the next faction that's being added into Hyrule Conquest, and that is the Gorons. They're pretty cool, and I can't wait to show them. Like all the other factions, they have 4 heroes. I'll go into more details about the heroes and all of their unique units and stuff when I do a hero video, but for now I'll just choose Daruk. And the Gorons are going to be the first faction that really starts to completely deviate from the sort of Age of Empires template. As I've said in other videos, my goal for this game is to make each and every faction as different from each other as possible. Some of them will have gameplay styles that aren't even close to Age of Empires, and the Gorons are the first that start to deviate a lot more than the other factions. Although, disclaimer, the method of base building I want to do for them might not be in the next version. Everything I'm going to show is all done through like map editor tricks. It doesn't actually work in like the skirmish mode. If you know how to write component files for 0AD, though, feel free to contact me. I'd love to get someone to help me make this work properly. I've tried to get help on the 0AD forums, but people are either busy or don't know, so just a heads up. The base building method for the Gorons probably won't be in the next version. It'll probably be in a much later version, but I don't know, maybe it'll be in the next version. We'll just have to wait and see. So, what do I mean by the Gorons base building and whatnot? If you notice, around their civil center, they have these little circular plots around them, and if anyone here has played the first Battle for Middle-earth game, you'll probably know what's going on. I want the Gorons to have like a very sort of heavy defensive play style, so I want their bases to all be kind of like lumped and close together. So their bases, their civil centers, and several of their other bases will spawn these circular plots around them. And what you'll do is you'll click on, you know, the Goron worker, you'll click the building you want, and you'll hover the building over it, and the building will snap to the circle and like change its facing away from the center. But you know, I need someone who knows how to write component files to do that, because I'm still not really skilled at it, and I haven't been able to get it to work myself. So for now, I just have like this hokey sort of method to demonstrate for you guys what it'll kind of look like when it actually is working. So I'll just upgrade all these plots with buildings, and so you guys can sort of see what it's going to look like. Do the small ones too. What else should I do the last upgrade with? I guess that one. So yeah, a fully upgraded Goron base will look something like this. Like, I kind of want their bases to feel like one giant mountain that's kind of expanding, and it sort of helps to. It sort of improves on the feeling that they're a very defensive faction. All their bases are really compacted together. They're a lot easier to defend. You can put towers around the perimeter and stuff like that. So once this thing is working, I think it'll be really cool, and it'll help differentiate the Gorons from the other factions. So anyway, what else do the Gorons have? Well, another feature about the Gorons is they have almost completely different resources. They're, you know, these rock creatures. They have no need for food or wood. Their resources are all entirely mineral based. So they'll have rupees and stone. They'll also have metal, because most of their buildings are created out of metals. And if you know anything about the Gorons, there's a specific mineral they eat called rock sirloin, and that's basically their food. And the method they use to harvest that is different than most of the other factions. So they'll have to build a little mine, and I have instant build on, so everything will build really fast. So they build these little mines, which will have to be spaced apart from each other, also kind of like Battle for Middle-earth. And in order to harvest the resources, you garrison the workers inside. And the more workers you have inside, the faster the resource count goes up. So that's how they basically get their food resources. They build these mines and they garrison their workers inside, and the trickle of rock sirloin goes up. And then for stone and metal and rupees, they gather it like the other factions, where they just walk up and harvest it, and you can build a little drop-off point by it. So those are two unique features the Gorons have. Another one, I like these guys. Another feature that I could only kind of do in Medieval 2, but I couldn't really pull it off the way I wanted, was some of their units can curl up and roll, so we train some of their units that can do that. So one thing about the Gorons is all of their units are pretty slow. They're very slow moving, they're a lot slower than most of the other factions in the game, but some of their units can curl up and roll, and then move really, really fast. However, when they're rolled up like this, their line of sight is really, really small, as you can see here. So they can't really see very far when they're rolled up, and they can't attack enemies when they're rolled up. They have to go back into their normal walking mode if they want to attack. So I'll have them uncurl here to attack this lever. And there goes the lever. So it's another feature the Gorons have that none of the other factions really have, is some of their units can curl up and roll and move around really fast to sort of compensate for the fact that most of their units are extremely sluggish and slow. So let's show off some of their other units. Here's one of them, the Dango Salamanders. They're based off of the Dodongos from Twilight Princess, and I think they're pretty cool. These little guys shoot out like a little fireball attack, so they're kind of like a weak creature unit, but they have a very strong sort of fire attack, and when things like fire damage get added into the game, they'll kind of be like a glass cannon almost, like a melee glass cannon, so that's an early game creature unit for them. And let's build some of their other buildings and show some of their units. Build the explosive foundry right here. What other ones did I build up here? I got the Sumo Ring, the Hall of Warriors. I got most of their troop buildings. So, one of their iconic units, not Ubisoft iconic, is the Bomb Thrower. Another thing about the Bomb Throwers is explosion effects on impact will not be in the game until 0 AD releases the next version. They're adding in explosion effects. So in this version, the bombs that the bomb throwers throw, when they hit an enemy, it won't show an explosion effect. I don't know when the 0 AD people will release the next version, but you'll have to wait for that in order for the cool explosion effects to show up. So for now, they'll throw bombs that don't explode. Yeah! I like the voices I was able to get for the Gorons. They're kind of cool. And of course, they have the powder keg launchers from Hyrule Total War, which are pretty awesome. Very powerful explosive siege unit with lots of splash damage, but they're very slow to reload and fire. What other units do I want to show? I want to show some of the really big units the Gorons have, the Goron Giants. Oh, they're already attacking right away. So yeah, these guys are kind of a giant siege unit that picks up giant boulders and throws them. Looks like they're attacking a little lever. Kind of like the bomb throwers, there's no explosion effects in the game yet, so the rocks just look like that when they hit the ground. Sorry, that won't be in until the next version. And it looks like their HP is set to too low because that little lever should not have been able to kill that one. Very slow. What other units do they have? Goron Rams. These guys are a melee siege unit that's designed to attack buildings with their heads. I think they look pretty cool. And they have the Sumos, also from Hyrule Total War. Those little levers either need a nerf or the Gorons need a buff. They should not be that strong. I love these giants, they're so cool. Anyway, here's the Goron Sumos. They can roll up into balls and roll around too. So they get a movement speed increase like the smaller Goron units. And what other Goron units do I want to show? Fire Warriors are also returning. They're one of my favorite Goron units, a very heavy melee unit. I like their voices. So these guys are just a very slow, heavy melee unit that can deal splash damage, and they're pretty cool. And what other units do I want to show? I got the little drummers. I like the little drummers. They're funny. They have like this little aura around them if you garrison, not garrison, but if you put units within the aura, they'll actually move a little bit faster. So the Goron drummers help them move a little bit faster than they would otherwise, which is very handy. And I think that's most of the interesting Goron units. They have a few more, but I almost forgot a really important feature. The Gorons are a defensive faction, and they have upgradable defenses. So let me build some of their walls and stuff, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's build up a wall around the base. Yeah, so the Gorons, they're a very slow faction, they're a very defensive faction, but they got really powerful and durable units. That's kind of their gimmick. So anyway, because the Gorons are a defensive faction, all of their defensive buildings have various things you can upgrade them with. So their fortress here, you'll see you have these 3 different options here. You can upgrade your defenses with double layers, which adds a bunch of rocks around them. Hold on, let me wait till these walls are finished being done. I'm getting distracted by the sound effects. I need to add in some really cool building sound effects. I haven't added any for any of the buildings, for any of the factions yet, only the units. Actually, I'll just have them stop building. Anyway, as I was saying, each defensive structure, so their fortresses and walls and towers, can be upgraded with several different upgrades. The first one is double layers, which adds more stone around the structure, so it makes it much more durable to enemy attacks. You can also upgrade them with lava moats, which makes them not invulnerable to melee attacks, but if melee units attack the walls, it'll deal damage to the melee attackers. Or you can upgrade the walls and defensive structures to Bulwarks, so you can garrison a lot more units on top. So I'll show some of them. Now this one's got the double layers, and I'll do it for the tower too. Oh, that one accidentally did the gate. But anyway, though these ones have double layers now, so they're a lot more durable. And then this one I'll give the little lava moat. So when enemy units attack the ones with the lava moat, it'll do damage to their melee attackers, which is pretty cool. And then the Bulwarks, which is probably my favorite. It sort of adds like this shielded, protective sort of covering to the wall, so you can put a lot more units inside, and they're a lot more shielded from enemy ranged attacks, which is pretty awesome. And you can do it with the fortress too. I'll upgrade the fortress with the lava moat. So as you can see, there's like a lava moat around the fortress. If enemies try to attack it with melee units, they'll take damage. I think that's most of the Goron features. I haven't shown their heroes yet, but I want to make a separate video with their heroes and their Titan unit. I think their Titan unit's really, really cool. There's Daruk. This giant paddle sword. Oh, of course, there's one more thing I wanted to show. Let me just build the appropriate buildings. There's my workers down here. Where are my workers? There's one right there. The war wagons. And I'm being attacked by more levers. Damn levers. Anyway, the war wagons, one of my favorite Goron units. I almost forgot to show it. So the Gorons have this sort of cavalry chariot unit that sort of runs around, and on its own it doesn't really do much, but you can garrison a bunch of ranged Goron units into the back, which I'll demonstrate in a second here when they get to it. So as you can see, you can garrison ranged units into the little cart on the back, and then they'll attack enemies from the back. So this unit basically increases the defense and obviously the movement speed of ranged units, so you can ferry a bunch of bomb throwers and stuff around the map, which is pretty cool. And you can do a bunch of hit and run attacks with these, which I just think is the coolest thing ever. I don't know why. I love this unit. I thought it was such a fun idea. And see, watch, they're gonna throw little rocks at the lever there from the back. I'll demonstrate it on these levers. I just think that's so cool for some reason. And they're missing horribly though. Run away! I killed that one. Anyway, I just think this is such a cool unit. It's such an awesome idea I just wasn't able to do in Medieval 2, but I can do it in this engine. I just think that's so funny, this giant Dodongo with a little wagon carrying around a bunch of Gorons. It's so cool. That's most of the unique Goron features. Let me think for a second if I've forgotten any. I don't think I have. I think that's about it. Next up, I will work on the Zora, which I'm very excited about. I like the Zoras way more than the Gorons and the Hylians and Gerudo, and I think the Zora are going to be really cool. And they have a method of building bases that should work in the next version. I don't think it's going to require any custom scripting or component editing or anything. I think the method I have for building their bases is pretty different from the other races, and it'll work fine, but that video's for another time. It'll probably take me 2 to 3 weeks to make the Zoras, depending on my work schedule. And my day job hours are getting pretty crazy. But if you'd like to support me on Patreon, I'll have a Patreon link in the video description. And until next time, have fun with the current version and look forward to the Zoras. Anyway, thank you and have a good one.